Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaser King coming to you with week 14 of college football. This is a unique week. It's these conference championship games mostly, and it's weird. Some are at neutral sites, some are not at neutral sites. Some are at some home team, so it depends on the conference. The conference championship games are Ohio and Western Michigan in Detroit, which is not where Western Michigan's in Kalamazoo, about 2 hours away from Detroit, and they're playing at Ford Field where the Lions play. Colorado and Washington are playing at Levi Stadium in San Francisco, California. So again, it's a neutral game. Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky are playing at Western Kentucky. Temple and Navy are playing at Navy. Florida and Alabama are playing at Florida. Or no, they're playing at Georgia. Virginia Tech and Clemson are playing in Florida. Penn State and Wisconsin are playing in Indy, and San Diego State and Wyoming are playing in Wyoming. So a couple of these are home teams, and then a couple, most of them are in neutral site games. And when you're analyzing, you look at that as a road game. So when I look at, let's take Penn State and Wisconsin, this will be our first pick. You got to look at Penn State as a road dog and Wisconsin as a road favorite, as Wisconsin's laying 2.5. Let's break this game down. When I looked at the trends, there was a very interesting trend that popped up. And I do college the same way I do pro. If I go back about 2 or 3 years, Penn State as a road dog, if you bet against them, is 11-0. Wisconsin as a road favorite, if you play Wisconsin as a road favorite, they were, I think, 8-0. You have the perfect storm, as I like to call it. I have a weak road dog in Penn State who always loses as a road dog against a strong road favorite, Wisconsin. Wisconsin goes on the road, plays that tough defense and running as the favorite. So when they went to Michigan, they were not the favorite. They were the dog, and they covered. So when they do lose, they're losing as the dog, but they do cover. At Michigan State, they were the dog, and they covered. As a favorite, they went to Iowa and won. As a favorite, they went to, I think, Illinois or Northwestern and won. So when they go on the road as the favorite, they do very well. Penn State, on the other hand, is more of a home team. They're great at home. They're like 15-2 at home the last couple of years as a home favorite. But when you get them as a dog on the road, they just don't play well on the road. They don't have the defense, and they don't have the quarterback to balance it up. So that's what tends to happen there. So in this game, I got Wisconsin laying 2.5 to Penn State, and I got the over/under of 48 roughly, 47.5, 48 is what I'm seeing at the casinos. I like the game two ways. First, when I look at the game, and let's look at the numbers. The numbers are everything. Wisconsin scores 28 a game and only gives up 13. Now remember, they played Michigan, they played Ohio State, they played Michigan State, they played Iowa, and only gave up 13 a game against that bunch. Penn State scores 36 a game and gives up 22. And again, against Michigan they didn't score, and against Penn State, or against Ohio State, they scored on a block punt and a blocked field goal. So their offense was 0 against Ohio State and very little. I think they scored 7 against Michigan. So in the better games, they didn't score anything. Their points are from Rutgers and Purdue and Illinois and some of the weaker teams. Indiana, who has a pretty good defense, that one surprised me a little bit. They scored 45, but in this situation, now Penn State can pass the ball pretty well, and Barkley's a little injured, but he's playing. And Hornibrook, the cornerback for Wisconsin, is a little bit banged up, but he's probable. So I'm assuming the probables, they're going to play. It's a Big Ten championship. They're playing. Everybody's playing. So unless the guy's got a broken leg or he's just on IR or suspended, he's playing. So got to be careful with the injuries. Michigan said that the guy had a broken collarbone, Spaeth, their quarterback, and he played the whole game against Ohio State. So you can play either way, Wisconsin plus 3.5 or under 54. I'm still debating about this. I think Wisconsin wins the game, so I like the 3.5. And I don't know, Penn State could score a little bit. I don't see Wisconsin scoring a lot. They only score a lot when they get a lot of pick sixes or a lot of interceptions. And I can see Penn State on the road maybe throwing a few interceptions. But I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think Wisconsin wins like 20-7, maybe 24-10. I don't see Penn State scoring a lot. I was watching them against Rutgers. They had a hard time. Like I said, against Michigan, they scored 7. And granted, their defense was banged up, but not their offense against Michigan. And the same thing against Ohio State. At home, they didn't score. So I'm not looking for Penn State to do too much here. Maybe 10 points, 13. Wisconsin probably gets in about 20. So either way, you can go under 54 or take Wisconsin plus 3.5. I think they're both very good plays. I'll leave that option to whatever you like. I'm probably leaning. I'm hoping that if the spread drops to 1.5, I'm definitely taking Wisconsin plus 4.5. Plus the 3.5, I think is a winner either way. Especially as strong as Wisconsin is as a road dog, and as weak as Penn State is as a road dog. I mean, as good as Wisconsin is as a road favorite, but as weak as Penn State is as a road dog, shows me they don't play very well on the road, and therefore I see them. I just see them not being in the game. So let's see if we can get it 2 and take Wisconsin plus 4. If it moves to 3.5, I wouldn't play Wisconsin. I would go under 54. So at this point, you got a nice spread. Again, Penn State at home. Like a lot of Penn State's losses are at Michigan, at Ohio State, when they're the road dog, but they get blown out. And at home, they play them tough. So here, I don't see it. And let's see, who do I like with? Let's talk about Alabama laying 24 to Florida. Over under a 40.5. Game's in Georgia, so it's a neutral. And Alabama is a strong road favorite. They're a better road favorite than they are a home favorite. There's something like 15-2 as a road favorite, meaning they go on the road, they take care of business. This is a road game. Another key, Florida's a decent road dog, nothing great. They did win at LSU, but LSU doesn't really have an offense. One key note is Florida has a lot of injuries here. There's a lot of defensive players that are very doubtful to questionable. Even if they do play, believe me, they're not going to be in there long when Alabama starts rolling them. Alabama's kind of pissed off because of the comments made. Will you try? Because it's a conference game. You've already wrapped it up. You're going to be in the playoff even if you lose. And Saban just went livid. Like, what do you think? We're going to lose? You think we try to lose? Even though, they're probably in the playoff. I don't see any way they wouldn't be. But he's pissed off now, so he's going to run it up just on that factor. Yeah, you're laying 24, but when you look at Alabama, they beat a good Arkansas team. They beat a good Tennessee team. They beat LSU 10-0 at LSU. All their games, they beat USC by 100. They just kind of roll you, and then they get you behind, and then their defense scores. They always get a pick six. They always get a punt return. I've never seen anything like it. And they just put pressure on the quarterback. Now here's the other reason. Florida has no quarterback. Even with Del Rio, who I don't think's that good, they don't have it. Well, let's go to the numbers. Alabama scores 39 a game and gives up 11. That's ridiculous. Florida only scores 24 a game and gives up 14. So what you think is a good defense by Florida, when you really look at it, you're like, well, they didn't play Mississippi, they didn't play Tennessee, they did play Tennessee, and Tennessee put up a lot of points on them. So it's a lot of Georgia doesn't have an offense, Vanderbilt doesn't have an offense, South Carolina doesn't have an offense. So their 14 is really deceiving. Against the better teams, it's higher. And they just don't have an offense. They scored 24 a game, again with weak competition. Um, so what I think here is Alabama's first. They're pissed off about, are we going to try? And they're playing an inferior opponent in Florida, who is certainly not. They're an average team. They're not in Alabama's class. Alabama's going to really put the wood to them. I mean, it's just what they do. They get rolling, and they just score. But I don't see where Florida's getting any points in this game. Without their quarterback, the other quarterback's from Purdue. He's okay, but they faced a lot better quarterbacks than this kid from Purdue, Appleby. I mean, Arkansas's got a good quarterback. LSU's quarterback stinks. Kelly, which was a high-scoring game. Um, so what you're looking at here is Alabama down to 18. Um, Really, I think Alabama gets in the 30s because I think once they get rolling, and they're not going to let up here. I think they want to shut everybody up about not trying. And I just don't see Florida scoring much. I think Florida maybe gets 7 points in this game, maybe 10, maybe a fluke. I mean, it should be a shutout, but you give Florida 10 points, and Alabama probably gets in the 30s. So you're probably looking at something 33-7, something like that. But I think Alabama laying the 18, I think, is no problem here. I just don't see how Florida wins this game, and then can they keep it close? And I never bet dogs that can keep it close or not. That to me is, you look at the game, who's going to win? Alabama. You look at the spread, 24. It's too high to lock. If it was maybe, it was like 12 where I could go under 7, I would lock it. At 24, I got 18. I can't lock that. It's a bad number. But I can play Alabama, but I can't lock it. And so take Alabama, laying the 18. They'll be in the 30s. Florida, I just don't see how they're going to score a lot. Wisconsin, Penn State, I just see Wisconsin just is the better team, and Penn State is not a good road team. And there's my picks. And again, I believe I try to win every game I play, and you hear my logic. So that's what I'm trying to do. I've been a little unlucky, like with the Michigan-Ohio State game, was picked perfectly the under, and they go to overtime, and I hate college overtime for that reason. You couldn't play the over in that game with two top 5 defenses giving up 10 points a game. You're not figuring there are going to be a lot of points. And it is interesting how a team can't move on another team. Then all of a sudden they get to overtime and they score 2 touchdowns, without any hesitation. And you're like, okay, how did they, what happened to the defense once we hit overtime? Where did it go? So anyway, it's just kind of bizarre, but just very, very unlucky. I got one outed on the river, as I say. And the other locks were really good. Minnesota Vikings last week. Navy puts up a 60. And Buffalo wins. And then Seattle is another miracle that Tampa beats them. So anyway, very unlucky in my Ohio State lock last week. But it was a great play. It should have won. It just didn't. And that's why you can't. I'm not 100%, and that's why you don't bet $1 million a play, because shit happens like in poker. You get pocket aces and you lose. So you know that going in. So that's why you inch up your bankroll, you inch up your units. When you're losing, you inch them down, and then you stay within that boundary. So that's what I like this week. I have 2 locks going in pros, and neither of those games are locked. And 2 locks in the pros. 2 in college, 2 in the pros. I might play a third one. Again, if Simeon can play, Denver's a lock because they'll kill Jacksonville, but he's in a boot. So again, it's Thursday. He's in a boot. Let's see what happens Saturday. And there's good places to go for the injury news. I think there was CBS Sports or something. They give you a pretty daily thing that says he practiced, he didn't practice. And a lot of players are questionable, and if they practice at all, they're playing. And a lot of people sit out practice because they're banged up and they need the rest, but they're going to play. And they also listen out and doubtful. So if Simeon was like doubtful, then I would say he's probably not playing. The fact he's questionable and in a boot, they just want to make sure it heals. And if it heals up, then definitely Denver is a lock, and they will, their defense will just smother Jacksonville, and he'll get them enough points to win. I think they'll win anyway, but I'm not going to lock it unless I have Simeon quarterbacking, which is such a weird thing to say because, who heard of this guy before last? I mean, I knew him from Northwestern. I didn't know he was in the pros, and all of a sudden I need him to be out there. But soon it'll be Paxton Luntz's team, and you won't know who Cinnamon, who he is. All right, everybody. Well, good luck to you. Again, I'm going to have the college bowls out next week. It'll be 125 for all the bowls, so it'll be like 3 weeks of bowls and the playoffs. So what's normally 100 a week, so it'd be cost you 400. You get the whole package for 125, and I'll have it on the site. My IT guy's in England. I hope he's back by now. But if not, just we'll talk about it and just we'll figure it out about the payment. But it'll be 125, everything through the playoff, the wonderful 4-team college playoff that should be 16 teams. And I don't know, these idiots, I don't get what the idiots are thinking because they make so much more money. If it's all about money, if you have 16 teams instead of 4, you have a whole lot more money. And who cares about half these bowl games? When Arkansas State plays Louisiana Tech in a bowl game, I really don't care. It just doesn't mean anything. So wouldn't I rather be watching a playoff game of Florida State playing Colorado or something? Anyway, good luck to everybody. Again, www.teaserking.com. Have a great week. Good luck to everybody.